first responder wellness for the whole person with your hosts, Corinne and Kais. We are here to start talking about a super important story. There was something you shared with me when we met and talked about this on Mental Health Spotlight podcast. And you talked about this kind of mini EMDR skill. I'm calling it that. You'll correct me. When someone has a really tough call, a traumatic call, or it's taxing, you tell them to do something. And you said it's wildly effective and it's really simple. And then I'd love you to give me an example of what that is and talk about it. And then I'll give you an example of how I used it with one of my clients.
Okay, good. So I think you're talking about the bilateral stimulation stuff.
I
So
think I am. Yes.
yeah, so I think it's helpful to kind of understand if people don't know what EMDR is, which I'm not going to get into the whole explanation about that, but it uses eye movements to reprocess trauma. But basically, we have the two sides of our brain, and when something traumatic happens, the emotional side of our brain gets lit up, and the logic side of the brain mostly comes offline. And when I move this side of my body, the right side of my body, the left side of my brain is the one working. When I move the left side, it's the right side of my brain that is working. So, using bilateral stimulation means both sides of the body to stimulate your brain to be working. That helps your full brain to come online and to process and file the trauma.
Of
So,
course.
what that looks like is even going for a walk or a jog. And ideally, when we're processing things, kind of the faster the better. So, after a call, if you can go for a jog, that's great. Or a swim, also awesome. Bike ride, anything like that.
Does it have to be a certain kind of movement where they're moving like arms and legs together?
Just both sides of the body. Just you want both sides of the body to be able to be moving. So that's where like swimming, running, biking is forcing you have to use both sides of your body
Tai
to do
Chi?
it.
Yoga? Would those count too?
Yeah. I haven't really thought about it in terms of yoga. Yoga's a little bit slower typically. Like you're really wanting to be like, like tapping and having it to be a little bit faster. I mean,
Okay. So it should have a rhythm
yeah.
to it, like a little more rhythmic.
Yeah, and back and forth. The other thing that you can use is there's technology today is fantastic, and there is lots of playlists. There are lots of playlists on all of the major platforms. So Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, that if you type in bilateral stimulation music or binary beats, there's like relaxing spa music things, or there's any type of music genre you like. And you do need headphones because it'll go back and forth between your ears
Oh, this is brilliant.
and
Okay.
play in and out of both headphones. And then kind of go over the call, go over the day and play it out. And that helps your brain to have both sides of it online fully while it's processing what happened and going over it. Rather than what a lot of people have been kind of taught to do, whether overtly or, subconsciously, but that to just kind of shove it away and try to forget about it and put it in a box and move on. And it doesn't work. We just know that it doesn't work. And
The body keeps score.
the body keeps the score. And even if you do that, what you've been trained to do, it's going to come up at some point and it's holding on to it. What we want to do is process it, even allowing the feelings, which can be really scary and overwhelming, but hopefully also either with a therapist or will be helping to give you some tools on this podcast, hopefully, that you can begin to learn to tolerate some of those emotions even better and begin to trust that you can handle it and you can process it and file it away so that it becomes more historical fact rather than something awful that feels like it happened yesterday when it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
When they're doing the movement, this repetitive, kind of fast, two sides of the body movement, are they processing in their mind, this is what happened in sort of a historical retell? Like, I walked in the door, there was smoke, I did this.
Yes, especially we're talking to particularly today of like the day after, right after the call. So whether you can do it right after the actual call and you're still on duty, or it's at like the next day or on your way home, situation, the next 24 to 48 hours. Yes, you want to be It's a little bit different if it's older stuff, and that's but
So this is a quick
for
under 2 days.
yeah, this just happened. What do you do? The call just happened or the traumatic event in general just happened. And yeah, you want to be quickly using the bilateral stimulation and then going over what happened, what it looked like. This stuff is going to be there fresh anyway. So I always tell people you might as well be doing bilateral stimulation or putting the beats on while you're thinking about it, because when it freshly happens, you're thinking about it. It's there. Even if you're trying not to, it's there.
Right.
So even if you're still kind of fighting it, having the beats playing helps to be filing it and making it productive and not ruminating in the right side of your brain.
Yeah, and soothing too, right? There's probably something soothing in those beats and the movement. That's just smart.
Yes, it is. It's people always say how it's amazing how much it helps to begin to regulate their nervous system, and it helps your brain to realize that event is over, because we're animals, right? So our brains are trying to protect us always. So that is looking for the threat, for what is potentially dangerous, and if we're not really give acknowledging to it that this event, while it was dangerous, um, you know, potentially life threatening or horrific, that it is over and there is no longer that threat. The bilateral stimulation also helps your brain to recognize that.
Because once you're in a situation like that, you've got that fight or flight going, and you haven't turned off the brain to be like, the bear is gone. We don't have to still stay hyper aroused. But a lot of our first responders, not only do they stay hyper aroused because it just happened, but they have this whole host of other traumas that they may have not processed as well.
Absolutely. And then you go home and the kids are yelling and running around, or somebody just makes an abrupt, loud sound, and you fly off the handle, and because your nervous system is still activated as if there is a threat, as if you're still in danger, and your nervous system hasn't caught up with the fact that no, now I'm at home and I'm making cereal and packing
Safe.
lunches, and the next thing that
Yeah.
is, it's like, still feels activated.
So they can do this in the short run to sort of buy some time, regulate a little bit, and then they go to their professional person and process it further, likely. Or do you think sometimes this is enough for people who maybe don't have a you to work with?
Yeah, I mean, it's better than nothing for the like moving forward, it's it's better than nothing. And
Yeah.
if
Fair.
my dream world, I will tell the guys, like, if they come back from, and gals, if the calls, they are walking the bays if they have time. Sometimes they're on to the next call and they don't even have time to process what has happened. But they're hopping on a treadmill. And if they are even sitting at the kitchen table talking about how messed up that was, it's like we could be doing some tapping and beats, like tapping your feet back and forth and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, my dream world is that we can get this stuff into like paramedic school, into the academy, the police academy, that kind of stuff. And so they know how to take care of their brain on the job.
Mm.
That this is just we do because this is the things that we see are messed up. Most people don't ever see any of this. Any of this. So, and we're not meant to be seeing all of this. Like we are all very grateful for you all taking one for the team and going out and seeing all of this. And because I don't want to do any of this.
They're like the heroes. They're the ones that come protect us, and we forget the impact that has when there are protectors. We forget, and they forget that they need this.
Yeah. Yeah, and even when I am talking to them, they're usually like, I will say things like, "I don't know why this bothered me," or they will say like, "And that one doesn't really bother me. This is not that big of a deal." I'm like, I mean, it is that big of a deal. Like maybe in perspective of all of the bigger things that you've seen, but I mean,
It's another T.
the average person seeing that one thing is having a hard time, and that is traumatic for your brain. So, and that's not a weakness. That's just what it is.
It's
It's
supposed to
not
do that,
normal.
right? We're not
Yes.
supposed to see these things. I love that you brought up the advocacy for this, because that's the whole idea, isn't it? To get this message out there and maybe to start some education. Oh,
Yeah. And this is like they Also, we'll talk about how important it is that they stay in shape and are physically fit for their job, and they'll be frustrated with colleagues that aren't and keeping up with that and all that. And this is just as important, if sometimes maybe more, And
Probably
when we
more.
stay on top, then it doesn't have to be as compound as it has been. When I first started working with first responders, it was like the average year on the job when people started to come to see me was 20. It would be anywhere from 17 to 22, but average 20 years on, they were coming to see me because of all of the compound things. Now, thankfully, younger people are coming in. They'll even be a year or two on, and it's becoming less of a stigma. And I'm like, thank
Mhm.
God, right? Come back to me when there's like, other things come up or things are more complicated. But when we get these things going and the tools, then they're more able to deal with the job and not
Yeah.
have it negatively impact home life and their sleep.
Mhm.
I mean, it's going to impact their sleep just from the hours that they work, but nervous
Right.
system wise, ability to sleep when they can and all of that it doesn't have to be dysregulated throughout their
Mhm.
whole career.
I love how you validated that and validated the mental health story and that and first responders understanding that and getting the education just to know that is what my brain's supposed to do. I'm not broken. It's just misfiring. And I love that opportunity. So the younger, not necessarily the younger, but the earlier first responders are coming before they're been there 10, 20 years and they're burnt out.
Yeah, yeah. A couple years
That's
on the job
beautiful.
now it is incredible, and I hope that it is just what happens is that people are spreading the message and saying, "This is just what we do." And if you're gonna do a job like this, you have to take care of this and make sure you have all of these tools and skills and even a person that you can be processing this stuff with. Because often people come home and their spouse will say, "How was your day?" And they don't even know yet how it was or that how to know if you are okay and if you're not okay. Because usually it takes more than even just a few days, but a few weeks, sometimes even a couple months to really know that you're not okay from something or to get an idea of whether or not you really did process it.
Mhm.
Stuff comes up that haven't they haven't thought about in a while and they didn't think it was like on the surface like that. And it was. I mean, it comes up quickly and it
Yeah.
still needs filed away. And
I
when we
love
get it
that.
filed away, then it's no longer bothersome. So I would also say another like hot tip, if you would, is an ice pack on the back of the neck. So
Okay.
this is a little nervous system hack that is it is sounds silly. And I tell people, and I would encourage anybody listening to this to right now, today, as soon as you're done listening to this, as you're listening to this, to go grab an ice pack and do it right now, even when you're not in a crisis or dysregulated, because you will see even in this moment how much it helps and it seems so silly,
Is it a
but
vagus
it's
nerve soothing? Is that where it's coming from?
yeah, and it just regulates your nervous system a bit. It's like it isn't fixing the things. It's just like it just takes the
Brings
volume
it down.
down and yeah, it gives you the ability to even think through like coping skills. This using the ice pack first even will allow you to think. She said bilateral beats. There's a playlist. Let me put that
Buys you
on. And
time.
yeah, yes,
Well, and somatically, we know that if you, especially if it's very cold and on a vulnerable, unused part of the body that gets cold, the body goes into a different state. It has to, because it has to respond to the cold, and that helps buy it a few seconds to go. Oh wait, what did Corinne tell me? So it's,
Mhm.
and I don't think it's silly at all. By the way, it's one of my big go tos. I'm like, go do legs up the wall, and put an ice pack on your neck.
Yeah, yeah.
Back of the neck, by the way, I don't know that I've used that directive. I think I've just said around the neck. Is the back of the neck preferred for that?
Uh, that's what I've always heard was the
Yeah. It's
was
less
to put it
sensitive.
on
I
the
feel like this is a little much.
yeah, maybe. I think it's also on the spine, which is like the conductor of our nervous system. It's like
Yeah.
the central highway.
Mm,
It's easier. Like I have ice packs here. I bring them into the office sometimes
yeah.
and have like it's easier to like lay back on
Mhm.
and easier. It's like the old school nurse trick that, my kids will come home from school and say that they didn't feel good today. Their stomach hurt. They went down to the nurse and I'll say, what did the nurse do? And she gave me an ice pack and I'm like, and then it was better? Yeah, it was better. I'm like, okay. I don't know
And
if they suck the ice pack in the belly or what, but
you got
it
it.
works. Yeah,
I would
a
even
Band-Aid.
add if it's working, put your feet on some, put one on your belly, put one on your lower back, all those regions. I mean, you don't have to be into chakras to buy into that. Those are all sensitive, powerful areas. So
Yeah, yeah.
I love that.
And
That's a
again, it
great tip.
buys you a little bit of time, and you try it with your kids. This is I also my kids when they're up and they're worried about the science test tomorrow and or the project coming up or the kid at school, they always know they hear me going down to get the ice pack. I bring the ice pack up and give it to them, and then we'd like talk about the things, and they can hear me better. They It helps them.
It's so funny because mine are
Yeah.
a little older
So
now. They're like 15 and I had to think of my kids' names because I was looking at something on the screen. They're 15 and 17. If I come at them with a cold pack, yeah, not anymore. They're like, "Go away with your voodoo, mom." But they've heard it and they know it, and we all have cold ice, cold water ice packs. This is accessible, it's cheap. Why aren't we using it?
Well, and also for all of you first responders on calls that you have people who are freaking out, who are having either panic attacks and you're not sure if it's a panic attack or a heart attack, throw an ice pack on the back of the neck. Unless there is some sort of protocol that I don't know about that is
Mm,
saying against that, but I can't imagine. You will get a different you I know you carry them on the squads. I think some police cars have them, some don't. If you don't, get the ones that you break and they turn cold, you can keep them in there and it will help for the citizens. Hand this to your coworker who is
okay.
doesn't seem like he or she is doing well. Be like, "Here, man, throw this on the back of your neck."
And they
Like,
make I mean, here we're in Cleveland area, we have Drug Mart, but they make strip ones that are long
"Oh, good.
strips that'll actually wrap around that are real thin and they're perfect for that.
Yeah, great." And pretty much anywhere, like, has ice or an ice pack. So it's not like this is something sophisticated or, like, unavailable, inaccessible. So you can even
We all
grab
have
ice
it.
cubes out of somebody's drink and put it on somebody's back of their neck if they're having a hard time.
I love this. So, just in this little bit of time, we talked about two really powerful tips: the bilateral stimulation with movement after an event, and the ice to soothe and regulate after. And maybe those two together, that's a start, right? This is about something that wasn't there before. I love that.
Yeah, and that gets the things going, and even then that may be, I encourage my clients who I see that if you have go on a traumatic call, text me, call me, let me know. I will get you in ASAP. I will find the time and we can process it quickly. You don't have to be in a crisis to be or like not okay or thinking you're going to hurt yourself to be reaching out and getting in sooner or coming in to process or talk about the thing.
Right. It buys you time. And you mentioned that with the ice too. We're just buying some time till you can get what you need and it doesn't get worse in the meantime. I love this skill. The stuff you mentioned, some of the tools, we'll put those in the show notes. Some of the resources you mentioned that they can get on playlists. Maybe we'll find a couple and put those in there for folks. And then we'll be back soon with more fabulous, wonderful skills. Join us for our next episode on first responder wellness for the whole person.